Okay. All set to go?
Good afternoon, Coach. The floor is yours.
Okay. Apologize for being late. First of all, just good afternoon to everybody, and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving in advance. It came awfully quickly, that's for sure. Struck me out last week, somebody mentioned Thanksgiving. And again, the optics, we've all had this in a lot of ways, I think, this year, but didn't seem possible to, at that point, we had played 4 games to be talking about Thanksgiving. Pretty unusual. So anyway, just real quickly, talk a little bit about the Penn State game, and we'll move on to this week, obviously. As I said the other day, we're thrilled certainly to get the win up there. We knew it was going to be hard fought. It was. And I think the bottom line is, if anybody was at the game or watching the game, the score was not indicative of how close the game was. So it's what you expect in Big Ten play, certainly. Thought our guys did a good job in the first half. Being ready to play, came out and got off to a good start. Finished the half in really good fashion with the stop on downs, and then taking it in for a touchdown and, building the lead a little bit. But, games are never over. And certainly the end of the third quarter, early in the fourth, took me right back to 2002, where we had a similar circumstance, ended up in an overtime game. So just happy with the way the team responded. You never know what's going to happen in those situations. The team responded well and came out with the victory. So, a lot of positives obviously come out of the game. I think the guys up front on both sides did a good job. And all that being said, when we hit the film on Sunday, there's a lot of things we still need to get a lot better at. And that's usually true after any game. So that was really the case the other day. So certainly a lot of things to work on, but it was a good team win. And, that being said, it's a quick turnaround for us and our opponent. You finish Saturday and boom, it's on you right away for the next game. So, we're playing Friday. It's a short week, and we'll have a Thanksgiving meal here on Wednesday night. Typically we'll have the families in for it, our families, all the coaches and staff's families, and kind of make it more of a family type dinner. But with the COVID situation right now, it's going to be pretty sterile, just be the coaches, players. But we'll do that on Wednesday, and then normal, travel and pregame routines Thursday, Friday, which would be our normal Friday, Saturday routine. So really nothing too, monumental about that. As we turn our attention to Nebraska, we have the same 6 captains as we did a week ago. You got Chauncey and Nick, Matt Hankins on defense. You've got Mekhi Sargent and Tyler Linderbaum offensively, and then Keith Duncan as a special teams captain. So 6 guys there. Really nothing on the injury front other than say Collarshot is working his way back now, so he won't start the game, but he'll play. I don't know what kind of condition he's in right now, and we'll just have to see how that goes. But at least we're going to get him back into the mix. And Coy Cronk might have a chance. We'll just see what that looks like as we go along here. And then moving on to Nebraska, just a couple of things. Obviously we've got a lot of respect for their program, the strong tradition they have there, and just a very strong fan base, very loyal, supportive fan base, just like we enjoy. So a lot of respect for them. And I think really you look at this, it's a trophy game. But really, all you have to do is look at the last 2 games since Coach Frost has been there. And, we've played 2 really competitive games against each other, and literally went down to the last play in both games. So, that's what you expect in a rivalry game. I would expect more of that again this week. And that's what we're trying to prepare for right now. Again, it's a short week. I'm sure they're going to be a determined football team. And, just looking at them, just a couple of things off the top of my head, we're not sure which quarterback we'll see, but I do know this. They're both extremely dangerous, and that's going to be a tough preparation for our defensive football team. And then offensively, we play a 34 scheme, and it's a whole different set of circumstances trying to match your offense against a 34 team. So we don't have a lot of time to practice, but we really got to make good use of the time that we have in our meeting times as well, because it's tough preparation on both sides. So that being said, there's no school this week. That's a little bit unusual. So at least everybody's got time to, really do what they need to do. Hopefully they don't have too much time where they get distracted and doing other kinds of things. Once again, being back in Kenny, sorry our fans can't be here. Appreciate their support. And then, the wave, we'll all look forward to having a chance to wave to the kids and their families on Friday. Yeah, I think all of us know, it's a tough situation anyway, but over the holidays, hospitals are, it's a real challenge. So at least hopefully we can bring a little, daylight into all their lives on Friday, and we'll look forward to that certainly. And that being said, I'll throw it out for any questions anybody has.
Thanks, Coach. If you have a question for Coach Ferentz, please raise your hand by clicking on the participant button at the bottom of your screen, and we will work our way down the lineup. Coach, the first question today from Chad Leistico.
Hey there, just wanted to ask about right tackle. We saw Mark Kellenberger exit the other day. You said he was hobbled. Do you expect him to start? And it looked like Jack Plum played pretty okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah,
thoughts?
we'll see how Mark looks, but yeah, he left the game. So if he doesn't go, we'll go Jack Plum, and Jack's the next guy in. Thought he did a good job. Wasn't in there for a lot of snaps, but he did a good job when he was in there, and that's, any bit I've said in the past, any bit of playing time is really valuable for guys that haven't played a lot. And we got that opportunity, a couple of weeks back, which was really good. So, we'll go with the guys that we have, and if Mark can't go, then Jack will be the guy for sure.
The next question from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, Kirk, you had three different true freshmen that's been in your two deep on the offensive and defensive lines the last couple of weeks. Mason Richmond, Tyler Ellsbury, and then on the other side, Y.A. Black. That's kind of unusual because usually you got guys that are farther from the ball that end up on that spot. What can you tell us about those guys and why they are in that position? And I guess, do they have bright futures for you?
Well, hopefully all three of them have bright futures, and feel really good about our freshman class just in its entirety. I will usually use the term pseudo second team, if you will. We've had some injuries, some guys out on both sides, so that's opened up some spots, and all three of those guys have done a good job. But if quite frankly, if they're in there at the start of the game or at a critical time, I don't mind telling you I'll be a little bit nervous about it in all three cases, and I don't mean that disrespectfully at all, but they're just not ready to play yet. Competitive football, and one moment of levity. Why he got in the other day, the last series, I guess it was, and he was being way too respectful of their left tackle. It's like, he just almost looked like, he's asking for permission to even step across the line on the guy. But that's what young players do. He's not like that in practice, I can assure you. And he came to one of our camps 2 years ago and was one of the most impressive campers we've ever had come through here in a couple decades. So he's a very aggressive, prospect. He's got a really good future. We're excited about that, but he's not ready to play, 60 snaps in the game right now. So, we got a couple guys out and that type of thing. So he's getting that work, and it's great for him, but he's not ready for prime time yet. And I'd say the same thing about both our offensive linemen that are listed.
The next question, Coach, from Chad Leistico.
Hey, wanted to follow up on a question I asked the players. With Phil Parker and Seth Wallace, how they seem like they really work together well. In fact, it almost appears on the field a lot of times Wallace is the one, barking out the directions, et cetera. I guess just what how do you feel about that dynamic? And I know Phil gets a lot of credit, but Seth probably deserves quite a bit too.
I was going to say still waters run deep, but I don't know if still waters is a good description of Phil Parker by any stretch. If you've been around him, which you guys have. So he's pretty active down there. But I think, to answer the question specifically, I think we have a really good staff overall. There's no question Phil and Seth work well together. Seth came up, was kind of raised in the system, if you will. Our system's been in place. Not that we haven't tweaked it or adjusted it. We do that in every phase. But, the roots of the system were really started back in 99. And obviously Phil and Norm had a great relationship. Phil's been here every day that we've been here. He's one of the first hires we made. So he certainly has a really good idea of what it is we're looking for as a program, and has done a great job, I think, as a coordinator. Seth's been a great addition. Seth, cut his teeth as a GA with Norm and was in the program for 3 years, went off and grew as a young coach. And it's been great to have him back. But I can say the same thing about KB and Jay up front. Jay's the newest member of the group, but KB's done a great job at the defensive line. Those guys are growing and improving weekly. I think we'd all agree on that we're a much better defensive line than we were 5 weeks ago. And that's what the game's all about. So it's all about teamwork with the staff as much as it is the players. And I'd say the same thing about the offensive staff. There's a lot of discussion. We're in the room together a lot as units, offense and defense, and a lot of good discussions. And nobody's got the trump card. I mean, the idea is to get the best idea and then try to, take it out to the field and see if our players can execute it. So, that's how teams work, and a lot of different personalities on coaching staffs and teams. That's what makes it all, kind of interesting.
The next question from John Sears.
Hey, Coach. Since this rivalry kind of rekindled, this is the 10th year, kind of dating back to when you're playing yearly now. Does it feel like this is a big time rivalry? But, you've had some other games you play against other teams that you play more often, but does this feel like it's generating the buzz and the rivalry that you kind of expected when it was first announced 10 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I'm only smiling because my 4-year association with it outside of the last 10 wasn't much of a rivalry. We did beat them in 81. My first year here as a coach, assistant coach, and didn't turn out quite so well. My first game as a head coach back here in 99. So a little variance in those two outcomes. But, when Nebraska joined the Big Ten, I think that was a great thing for certainly the Big Ten. Hopefully they feel the same way. And, it made sense, since we're border states to try to initiate something that way. But it's kind of interesting now, we've got them on one border. We've got Minnesota, we've got Illinois. Northwestern is, semi-border, I guess, if you will. Maybe they're a little different being a more of a city school. And then Wisconsin. So we've got a lot of border rivalries it's just, I think that's one of the neat things about our conference. So, it's certainly grown. And, but one thing about in our conference, every conference game is really important. So you can't, really say, hey, this one's more important than another. They're all critical. They're all important. And, how the fan bases react to certain things, that's a different story, maybe.
The next question from Jeff Johnson.
Yeah, hi, Coach. This is the second straight game you have to prepare for two different quarterbacks. Is it different this week in any way than it was last week? Just, when you look at maybe the similarities or differences from the guys this week as opposed to the two Penn State quarterbacks?
Yes and no. I would answer it this way, just off the top of my head. The systems are very different, right? So I think with Penn State, what they do with their quarterback, we kind of feel like both quarterbacks were equally dangerous, and we had a lot of respect for both of them. I would not compare Nebraska's scheme necessarily to Penn State's in that, the X's and O's part, but I would compare it in that both quarterbacks, again, are very dangerous. They can hurt you maybe in a different way than the guys that from Penn State hurt you, but getting hurt's getting hurt. It doesn't matter how it is. And both these guys are really capable of making plays with their feet, with their arm, and their head. So that's a it's just one of those deals where there's a lot of pressure on your defense at every position because both these quarterbacks can run. They can get outside and throw it. They can get outside and run it, and that makes it a big challenge for us.
The next question from Mike Halas.
Kirk, it's been a long time since you beat 3 Big Ten teams as thoroughly as you have the last 3 weeks. Why is this happening?
Well, we're playing better. I mean, that's probably the simple answer. And, when you're playing better, you have a chance. But, like I said, in the lead statements there, even last week, the score ended up being, a pretty good gap. But I mean, if you look at the stats, they're pretty close. And, really the game was close if you're at the game. And I don't think any of us on our sideline were feeling really overly confident in that fourth quarter. I mean, they had us right there, in a really, really vulnerable position. All they need to do is score and then get an onside kick. And, they're knocking right on the door. So, it's just a way the conference is. You can't really relax. We did have a chance maybe a couple of weeks before, but I can assure you, nobody in our camp saw it coming in either case, and sometimes it just happens. But I think it's a credit to our guys playing better football. And I will say this, I think our guys are, for the most part, staying focused for the full 60 minutes. And that sometimes is easier said than done.
Next question, Coach, from Mark Emmert.
Hi, Kirk. You guys have really controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides against Nebraska the last 5 meetings. I guess how important has that been to the outcome, and how can you explain that, your dominance there?
Yeah, I don't know if dominance is the right word, but we've done some good things up front. But they've had some good things happen to them too. So bottom line is, especially these last two years, I mean, it's really literally come down to that last play, and there's nothing easy, and this won't be easy. We know that they're going to come in here ready to go. And the other factors, I don't think home or away doesn't seem to matter. It's going to be, we expect it to be a really tough, hard-fought game, and it sounds like the weather's going to be decent. That's good. So it really just gets down to the team that probably makes the least amount of mistakes, doesn't give up easy things and easy plays, and can play the full game. But I don't I don't expect anything to be, there's no boxes checked right now on our side, I guess. I'm just looking at it saying we're going to have to go out and really try to play better than we had the last couple of weeks. And, the score is good last week, but there are a lot of things we left the door open on. We got to get that taken care of here a little quicker. I can think of a pass play in that fourth quarter that we didn't have covered. Luckily, the quarterback couldn't get there, or else that scenario I just described might have happened where, all of a sudden it's a 6-point game and they're onside kicking. So, we've been a little lucky too. I just hate to rely on luck.
Coach, the next question from Scott Docterman.
You look at Cody Ince. I mean, he's a bear hunter from Wisconsin, and could dunk a basketball. Seemed pretty athletic. What did he show you to make you think that he could be a good guard, and how has he improved over the last couple of years to put himself in a position to be on the field and contributing in a meaningful way?
Yeah, I don't know about the bear hunter part. I'm more interested in him being a blocker, but anyway, he's a great young guy and great family, and I knew he was an outdoors guy. I didn't know that. We talked a couple of minutes ago about those freshmen that are on our two deep right now, pseudo two deep, and Cody's probably a good example of those guys, right? Just with all due respect, those guys really aren't ready to go and play 60, 70 snaps right now, and Cody certainly wasn't. But we could see right off the bat that he had a good had the potential to become a good lineman here, and he's had some injury issues the last couple of years, and when I say serious, not life-threatening, but the kind that take you out of the mix for weeks or even months sometimes. And so it's hard to get better. It's hard to develop. It's hard to work your craft when you're not, you're just watching from the sidelines. You can work the mental part, but so I think some of his growth has been impeded that way. But this year, especially, and again, I was going to say training camp. It's been such a weird year, but we could just see him starting to maybe gain some ground and get a little confidence and start to. First of all, he's been able to stay healthy, knock on wood here, and sustain, some practices together. So, he's just kind of developing and growing. That's what we hope those true freshmen we talked about a little while ago are going to do down the road here as well. And, Cody's a very talented guy. I think he could probably play all 5 positions. I can't say it about many guys that have come through here, but I think he probably could. The other thing he didn't have, 5-6 weeks ago was any confidence. And I think he's starting to develop a little bit of that. I think he's starting to realize that he can play successfully. And maybe a little bit better than that even with more work. So I don't want to speak for him, but I think he's pretty excited about that. It seems like he's really been doing a good job, and he just does it in a really quiet fashion too. He's a really quiet young guy, and that's kind of how he works, and that's kind of how he plays. But it's the end product is pretty good.
Next question, Coach, from Chad Leistico.
It's easy for us to see how well Goodson and Sargent are playing, but what do you think has made them so effective this year?
I think we're playing better as an entire team. That helps. And but both of them are just, they're both a year older. And Makai's played a lot of good football here already, and Tyler got off to a good start last year as a first-year guy. But that, the time, time on the field and time in the program, time practicing, training, all those things add up to maybe giving yourself a chance to be a better player as you get older. That's how it's supposed to work. And both those guys are illustrations of doing that. And the commonality between both of them is they got great attitudes. They're just great guys on the team. I'm sure they have down days and all that, but they don't bring it out to the field. These guys are really positive out there. They like football. Tyler, they both do. They really like football. Makai, it's interesting. And I'm not trying to knock, a junior college, any junior college program. He came from Iowa Western. It's got a great program. They got unbelievable facilities, way better than we had at Maine, I can tell you. But he's got a real appreciation for being in a Division I program where there's a training table and, all those kinds of things, and, a lot less bus rides than, coaching at Western or Maine. You got those bus rides in front of you. So he appreciates every day, and a tremendous guy. And the thing I'll throw about Makai, he's playing great on special teams too. And I think that gives you a window. Both he and Ivory Kelly Martin are playing really well on special teams. And they're doing it because they want to do it. And that's really a good sign. So that's part of the reason we're having success right now. You got 2 guys that, probably could be starting most times, and they're playing special teams and really giving it their all.
The next question, Coach, from Scott Docterman.
It's an interesting year all the way around for a million reasons, but the eligibility question, that all of your players, this is a free year per se. And I'm sure that each and every one of them has a different story. Some will want to get onto life's work. Some might go pro. Some might want to come back. And then there's a cost attached with that as well. I mean, have you had any kind of conversations with the players or staff or about which ones may come back, which ones might want to come back, which ones won't? And how has that gone so far?
Yeah, so as a staff, we probably spent about 3 minutes last week talking about it, and it's probably about 2 minutes too long. And then we also, I interviewed all of our seniors, back, back before one of our starts. I guess it would have been in September, probably, late September, before we actually got going again. So, and that was probably a waste of time too, because things change every day. How people think and how they're seeing things. None of us knew what this season was going to be, and we still don't know how the next 4 weeks are going to go. Just glad we got to practice in today. I'm happy about that, and that's kind of how we're all looking at the world right now, is with a pretty tight focus. And I'm not sure anybody can predict what they're going to be doing. The good news, I guess, is it did dawn on me last week that the players aren't going to be here in January. We can't recruit in January. So I guess we're gonna have a lot of time to think about stuff like that, and God only knows what else we'll be doing. But it's gonna be kind of weird. So I mean, this whole thing, it's just one more step in the process. But it's a great point, Scott, and we'll figure it out whenever it's appropriate. But I think probably the best answer I can give you for the players, I think the picture will become more clear here over the next 6-8 weeks, where they kind of see what the landscape looks like for them.
Next question, Coach, from Steve Batterson.
Hey, good afternoon. With the uniqueness of the season, how has that changed things for the younger guys in the program, the true freshmen, in terms of the weekly routine and just their preparation?
Yeah, Steve. I can't say enough about these freshmen, the first year guys, and that goes back to June. I think they're the ones who have paid the biggest price. Me personally. Maybe the older guys on a mental side, just because, they're looking at what should be their senior year, or their, third, fourth year in the program, where they kind of got the routine down and all that. But you think about our freshmen, typically they come in June, they're plugged in, they're 6 hours of class. They're training on a regular basis. They're having 6 hours of class where they're actually interfacing with other students. They're, getting their way around town and all that kind of stuff. And these guys got here and got locked up in the dorm, basically, because, really everybody's social life and the academic, we pulled the plug on academics. The university did, just, for obvious reasons. So the first year guys weren't in school this summer. They trained, they came over, trained, and then went home. And I felt really badly for them. And there's not like we could do any team functions or things like that because of the, just because of the virus. So everything was virtual, that type of stuff. And I can't say enough about these guys. I mean, they don't seem to be affected by it. They just kind of been day after day, show up, and they have a good attitude. They work hard. As I mentioned earlier, alluded to earlier, we're really pleased with the whole group. They're really a good group of guys, and I can't imagine anybody being through I don't want to say it was a poorly designed summer, but I mean, you would never design one like that intentionally unless you just didn't like the people that you were doing it for. So, just can't say enough about them. And they're positive guys. They all work hard, they show up, and they're great to be around, and really anxious to get them in the normal world. Whenever that time comes, it'll be really good. But so I think they've paid the biggest price. I really do. And, hopefully this will be the last year like this, where it's just so restricted in every regard. But they've stayed the course. Same with our older guys. And, it's like anything you do in life, right? Situations arise and you just try to deal with them the best way you can. And there's no sense worrying about or crying about or, complaining about it, because kind of is what it is. And you just got to try to deal with it and then support each other. And our guys have all done a good job of that.
Next question, Coach, from David Eicholt.
Hey, Kirk, happy Thanksgiving. It seemed like Spencer is starting to settle in more to his role at quarterback. I mean, I think he had two of his better passes of the season, the 26-yard to Nico, and then I think the one to Sam Laporta at the 1-yard line. How have you kind of seen Spencer progress over the last couple of weeks? And do you think that Saturday was a step in the right direction for him?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's been a lot of chatter on that topic the last couple of weeks. And, as I tried to say earlier, that We've had a lot of first-year quarterbacks play pretty well here historically, but, all those guys got to go through a normal spring, 15 days of practice over, 4.5 weeks, and a lot of time to meet, digest, watch tape, run the offense, hands-on, make mistakes, all those things. And then they had the luxury of having the entire summer to do their 7-on-7s with their teammates. And, same thing, watch film and watch spring ball and, watch those horrible throws they make and all that stuff that everybody does as you start to, ascend into a starting position, if you will. So, Spencer didn't have that afforded to him. I just mentioned the freshmen, them being in isolation. Well, basically all of our guys were in some form or fashion. So it hasn't been normal. I can't say enough about him. And, we're really pleased with what he's doing. I think he's, on the right path. He's got good feel out there, good sense. He's going to make mistakes. Every player does. And every new player certainly makes mistakes. But, he's done enough. We've seen him as coaches. We've seen enough of him pretty extensively to feel like, and all we can do is compare him to guys that have come through. And we think he's got the right attributes to be a really good quarterback for us. So the next step is actually, doing it on the field. I just alluded to that, Penn State game in 2002. You go back 2 weeks before that game, we had a total meltdown, and Brad Banks was pretty much at the center of it. And, I think it's one of the greatest stories in college football. In my personal opinion, I'm a little biased, right? But, a lot of guys would have just tanked it after that game, after that meltdown, because it was a bad day for him, bad day for our whole team. But it was, quarterbacks always feel more responsibility. But that's the essence of Brad Banks. He got right back up on his feet, went to work with a great attitude. And he's the reason we beat Penn State in 2002 and then, proceeded to run the table in the conference. He was our MVP, AP player of the year, Big Ten player of the year. And that's a guy who failed miserably in week 3 or 4, whatever it might have been. So, that's football and that's life. And that's, that's what you learn from. So, I'm not predicting Spencer's going to have a meltdown. I hope that doesn't happen. But if it does, we're not going to abandon ship here because we've seen enough of him, just like we saw enough of Brad and just like we saw enough of, go right down the list. It's just, that's how this game is. It's hard. It's a hard game and it humbles you. But, it's all about what you do when the stuff hits the fan a little bit.
Coach, we'll take 2 more. The first from Chad, and then we'll finish with a question from Scott. So next question from Chad Leistico.
The quick one is, do you expect Wagner back next week, not this week?
Hoping to get him working back. Yep. Hoping
okay.
to.
And then we got to talk to Nico Regani today. He said he comes from a big Italian family. Is that as entertaining as it sounds? Have you gotten to meet them?
Recruiting's changed so much, but, Nico was a guy that we liked in high school. Didn't have room for him in that recruiting class. That's how smart we were, right? So, right, experts in recruiting we're supposed to be. So he went to the prep school and then came here. So, he just got here, right? And I never really met him. I met his dad last February 28th. I can tell you the date because it was a Nike clinic I'm obligated to do. So I was up in Connecticut. And the rest of the story is I'm a little bit on the older side, right? So my first year in college was the last year of freshman football, quote unquote freshman football. It would have been the fall of '73. Andy Baylock was our freshman football coach. Andy had been there probably 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. I don't know. Unbelievable guy, unbelievable human being, unbelievable coach, unbelievable guy, perfect guy to be the freshman football coach. Well, Andy was also the assistant baseball coach at UConn and then later became the head baseball coach, and they had a very good program, still do. But so Andy was a longtime baseball coach there and still one of the best ambassadors for the university in the athletic department there is. The rest of the story is Nico's dad played for Andy and Nico's dad's a tremendous baseball player. Ask Andy Baylock, give him a call, he'll answer it. Probably about a 2-hour call, but he'll tell you about Nico's dad, just a tremendous player at the University of Connecticut. So it's a small world, but both Coach Baylock and Nico's dad were at the clinic last on the 28th. And excuse me, it was great to see Coach Baylock again. And obviously great to meet Nico's dad. So yeah, they're a great family. Nico's a very, he's everything we want in a football player. Just a tremendous young man. Really glad he's on our team.
Coach, the last question this afternoon from Scott Dockerman.
Yeah, when you bring up recruiting, I mean, you have a dead period for 12 months. And on a side note, as a parent of 2 college-age students, I can't imagine sending somebody off to college without even visiting it. in person. How are you going to get through
That's
this?
the normal world, though. You're talking about a normal world.
Exactly. Well, you've got, I think, X number of commits right now for the December period. What's the next couple of months going to be like for you? And do you anticipate anything, a big push for December? You're going to try to wait for February? I mean, how's that all going to work out, you think?
Yeah, it's kind of like the last question you asked. I really haven't given it a lot of thought, other than I can just answer it this way. Moving, going backwards on the calendar here. So we got shut down on the 13th of March, and it was pretty apparent we weren't going anywhere, right, for a while. So we didn't have a lot to do. So we were recruiting, and we were Zooming and, FaceTime and all that stuff, which is, it is what it is. But like, that was recruiting, if you will. So we feel great about this class. I mean, I just mentioned the first year guys on campus right now. It's been great to work with these guys, and we feel the same way about this class because, it's kind of, they committed and they made cast their vote, if you will, at a very unusual time. And I think we all feel like we really know these guys really well. And boy, I tell you, we really like them. So, that's kind of neat, but it's weird because that was pretty much how we felt back in, May and June. This class is in pretty good shape. So yeah, now our attention has to go forward. And that's interesting because some of those guys didn't play this year, right? There's a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot. Well, there's a significant amount of people that we're trying to evaluate that didn't play this fall. That makes it difficult. Certainly they couldn't come to camps last year, makes it more difficult. So, we're gonna have to figure that one out. But again, like I said, we got plenty of time once the season's over. Right now, I mean, it's literally day to day. I mean, obviously we got to know we got to be ready Friday, but bigger story is, what do we have to do to finish today up? So, we'll have plenty of time for it. And we got a couple of people in the office thinking about it. That's their jobs. So it's, they'll keep us surprised if there's something we need to know, I guess.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Same to you. We will have a transcript from today's news conference with Coach Ferentz, so stay tuned to your email inbox for that. If we don't see you at Carver Hawkeye Arena on Wednesday, we'll look forward to seeing you at Kinnick Stadium on Friday. Happy Thanksgiving.